Article 4. Obligations of the state and federal governments. The Constitution's Articles 1, 2, and 3 define the federal government's legislative, executive, and judicial branches. Article 4 of the U.S. Constitution outlines the interactions between the states and federal government, covering topics such as recognition of official acts, interstate relations, extradition of criminals, handling of escaped slaves, admission of new states, national defense, and internal violence. In 1787, the young nation faced significant challenges, including boundary disputes, debts, and recognition of legal judgments across state lines. Article 4 establishes essential government relationships, providing the basis for American federalism. Article 4's full faith and credit clause is the first fundamental mechanism for interstate cooperation and national unity, and establishes a principle that has shaped American federalism. The clause states, "Full faith and credit shall be given in each state to the public acts, records, and judicial proceedings of every other state." Full faith and credit ensures that when a citizen settles a legal issue in one state, it must be recognized as valid by all other states. Titles to property, court judgments, divorce decrees are examples. The full faith and credit clause is a crucial element of what constitutional scholars call horizontal federalism, the relationships among states within the federal system. Article 4, Section 2 addresses privileges, immunities, extradition, and fugitive slaves. Article 4, Section 2, Clause 1 reads, "The citizens of each state shall be entitled to all privileges and immunities of citizens in the several states." This means that states must treat citizens from other states equally. Alexander Hamilton noted that this clause is the very basis of the Union. The Supreme Court has determined that a citizen's privileges and immunities comprise a range of fundamental rights, including rights to travel freely between states, be treated equally in matters of residence, pursue a common calling or profession, acquire and possess property, access the courts. The Extradition Clause covers the extradition of fugitives from justice. A person charged in any state with treason, felony, or other crime, who shall flee from justice and be found in another state, shall be delivered up, to be removed to the state having jurisdiction of the crime. This clause requires states to cooperate in returning fugitives to face criminal charges in the state where the alleged crime occurred, and allows arrest warrants from one state to be enforceable in another. The modern extradition process typically involves a formal request from the governor of the state where the crime occurred, the issuance of a governor's warrant in the asylum state, the arrest of the fugitive, an extradition hearing where the fugitive can challenge the legality of the process, the transfer of the fugitive to the requesting state. Section 2's final clause is known as the Fugitive Slave Clause, but does not contain the words slave or slavery, which are not anywhere in the Constitution. The Constitution itself did not legally sanction slavery, which was an establishment of state law. After the 13th Amendment abolished slavery, the clause became irrelevant. The Fugitive Slave Clause reads, "No person held to service or labor in one state, under the laws thereof, escaping into another, shall, in consequence of any law or regulation therein, be discharged from such service or labor, but shall be delivered up on claim of the party to whom such service or labor may be due." The Fugitive Slave Clause was a major source of sectional tension leading up to the Civil War. Congress passed the Fugitive Slave Act of 1793, but many northern states enacted personal liberty laws, providing protections for accused fugitives, impeding the return of escaped slaves. This contributed to the Union's breakdown and the Civil War. South Carolina's December 1860 secession proclamation specifically cited northern states' failure to enforce the Fugitive Slave Clause. It took nearly 80 years and over 600,000 lives to nullify the Fugitive Slave Clause. Article 4, Section 3 contains the New States Clause, which defines the admission of states to the Union, and the Territory and Property Clause regarding the governance of property owned by the national government. The Constitution became effective when New Hampshire was the 9th of the original 13 to ratify on June 21, 1788. Government under the new Constitution began operation on March 4, 1789. Rhode Island on May 29, 1790 was the last of the 13 to ratify. After Rhode Island, The New States Clause became the process by which the country would grow to the current 50 states today. The New States Clause empowers Congress to admit new states as follows. New states may be admitted by the Congress into this union. Two restrictions on the power are that new states cannot form within existing states, or by merging two states without approval of Congress and the legislatures of the affected states. Hawaii was the 50th and most recent state admitted in 1959. Admission of Canada, any Canadian province, Greenland, or a U.S. territory like Puerto Rico as a state, would take an act of Congress. The Territory and Property Clause grants the federal government authority as follows. The Congress shall have power to dispose of and make all needful rules and regulations respecting the territory or other property belonging to the United States. The Territory and Property Clause addressed the need to govern the vast territories that the United States possessed or would acquire, and grants Congress plenary power over U.S. territories, areas under U.S. sovereignty that are not part of any state. While most territories have been admitted as states, the United States continues to maintain territories, including Puerto Rico, Guam, the U.S. Virgin Islands, American Samoa, and the Northern Mariana Islands. The Territory and Property Clause is the constitutional foundation for federal ownership of public lands. The federal government owns approximately 640 million acres, about 28% of the total United States land area. Article 4, Section 4 of the United States Constitution contains three distinct but interrelated guarantees that form a crucial part of the federal-state relationship in the American constitutional system. The first guarantee in Article 4, Section 4, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government, is commonly known as the Guarantee Clause. A republic is a form of government where the power to govern ultimately resides in the people, who exercise that power through elected representatives, with a written constitution, protective of minority rights under the rule of law. The second guarantee in Article 4, Section 4, and shall protect each of them against invasion, obligates the federal government to defend states against external attack. Armed attack by a foreign army is clearly an invasion requiring federal response. Recently, in the immigration context, states have argued that illegal border crossings and transnational drug smuggling amount to invasions, triggering federal protection obligations. The third guarantee in Section 4, and on application of the legislature or of the executive, when the legislature cannot be convened, against domestic violence, provides for federal assistance to states facing internal unrest, but only upon request from state authorities. The term domestic violence in this context refers to insurrections, rebellions, or other serious civil disturbances within a state, not to interpersonal violence as the term is commonly understood today. The Domestic Violence Clause has been invoked throughout American history. President Washington used it to call up militia during the 1794 Whiskey Rebellion. During labor unrest in the 19th and 20th centuries, federal troops deployed at the request of several governors to suppress violent labor disputes. In summary, Article 4 is crucial for maintaining order and cooperation among states. It ensures recognition, privileges, extradition, and government requirements. Understanding these elements is vital for appreciating U.S. federalism. If you want to learn more about the Constitution and how it shapes our government today, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update.